custody. The hunt goes on for a second suspect. The suspect in the deadly Berlin Pride attack that killed one person, injured 29, was shot dead by German police during a confrontation in a Berlin suburb. America will soon mark the 25th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, and some of those who lost loved ones on that terrible day say they do not want New York City's mayor to attend the ceremonies at Ground Zero in New York. Watching Wall Street this morning, the Dow trading about 437 points higher, while the NASDAQ is up 98 points. More details at srnnews.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free, no-risk consultation. 800-292-7875. 800-292-7875. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-292-7875.
The following program is a paid advertisement and does not necessarily represent the views, opinions, or endorsements of Signal Hill Media Partners, its affiliate stations, or its advertisers. Welcome to Taking Care of NC, the program dedicated to exploring the issues, opportunities, and challenges shaping the great state of North Carolina. Join your host, Representative Jeff McNeely, as he delves into meaningful discussions about politics, community initiatives, and the people working to make a difference. Whether it's tackling local concerns, highlighting state achievements, or addressing pressing legislative matters, this show is your go-to source for understanding how North Carolina is growing and thriving. Stay tuned as we kick off another insightful episode of Taking Care of NC.
Good morning, North Carolina. Hope everybody's doing well out there this morning. Yeah, it's hot. It's humid. It's hot. Hey, we're getting rain though. Thank the Lord for that. So that's a good thing. Hey, got a really interesting show today. I got Leo Van Tine here in the studio with me. Leo, how you doing this morning?
Doing great, man. How about you?
Doing good, doing good. Hey, and going to have another friend of mine, Eric Stahl, going to call in. He's from down in the Raleigh area. And we're going to talk about some legislation put forth from the Senate through what they call a conference bill. And basically what a conference bill is where they'll take a House bill and change it all around and take language out, submit language, whatever, delete, could change the whole premise of the thing. It started out, I always tell everybody, the lottery bill actually started out as a license plate bill way back in the day, and it was gutted. So a House bill was taken, House Bill 328, and when it came back from the Senate, it basically had putting it language in it that would kill the hemp CBD industry in our state. And so we'll get into that a little bit here. And like I said, Eric's going to call in a little later in the show. But first, we're going to find out and talk with Leo. So I'm going to take his headphones off. Leo, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Leo Van Tine?
Yeah, I'm the CEO of Alternative Health Distribution. We have multiple brands that we manufacture products for throughout not only North Carolina, but the whole country and the world. You know, we ship to South America, Germany, other locations. I'm also the chairman of CBHD, so that's a nonprofit that we put together to help fight for the rights of the hemp companies, and it's needed now more than ever. We've advocated a lot for the past 4 or 5 years to get sensible regulations in this state. We've fought really hard with the House and everything to try to get that done, but every time we get a bill from the House over to the Senate puts in a lot of stuff in there that just doesn't make any sense.
And like I said, and I think you and your father, y'all have a business arrangement. I think you're more of the bricks and mortar part of it.
So I do the manufacturing. I make the products and stuff, and then he has stores. I sell my products to his stores. He has over 65 stores, most of those being here in North Carolina.
Okay. It's say it for me.
Apotheca.
Apotheca. I want to make sure I don't get it right there. Apotheca. So, folks, just to give you a little history, a little background on the industry itself. In 2018 Farm Bill, which Senator Mitch McConnell from Kentucky actually kind of was the head on this, put forth that allowed a certain level of hemp products to be used. 0.3% THC was the max. This allowed for a lot of the CBD lotions and products also, and CBD is different, but yet still some THC falls into that category. And what it's created is an alternative, in my opinion, to some of our drugs, such as opioids that we have so much, the Oxycontins and the hydrocodones and this stuff, where a lot of people seem to be getting hooked on, and this, that, and the other. And I'm not going to tell you that it works for everybody, but a lot of people have found a great medicinal uses for this. I think right now we're up to about 1.5 million consumers in the state of North Carolina that use these products. And you're looking at about a $4 billion industry. Just in the state of North Carolina, and about 15 or 16,000 jobs created. So from 2018, this industry has took off. And like I said, a lot of entrepreneurs, and I know a lot of people out there saying, "Well, they're just selling marijuana." Well, I'm not going to lie. There's some brands and stuff that do not do a good job, but then there's others that I find, like Apotheca and the Van Tines, who do a great job and are constantly sampling their own products and always do well. So we have good players and bad players, and this is typical of any industry, I'm afraid to say. But there is need, and with the Senate bill that's come from the North Carolina Senate bill, kind of mimics the federal Senate bill that was put forth in the Great Big Beautiful Bill. I think he stuck it in with that, or maybe one of the other ones. But Mitch McConnell come back, senator from Kentucky, and changed it from 0.3 milligram or percentage-wise of dry matter to 0.4 milligrams. And I know, so the other's 0.3 on a percentage. This is 0.4 milligrams. So we're talking about a piece of sea salt.
Extremely small. It's difficult for any farmer to grow hemp just for CBD, or us to even make CBD products is pretty much impossible. The amount that you would be able to put in will not make the product have the same effectiveness that you have now. So it would basically kill the industry. It's definitely going to kill the industry. I mean, the farmers won't even be able to grow here. We'll be importing CBD from Europe like we did before the pilot program. It would be virtually impossible to make our products, even if there was just CBD alone.
So just, and that's any THC product. So the Delta 9 is the one we worry about. That's more the hallucinogenic side of this. You got Delta 8, Delta 10, Delta 11. Those are not hallucinogenic necessarily, maybe at a huge rate of some kind, but normally not. So this is making things, and that's total THC, so it's going to take out any of the other deltas in there. So it's making it interesting. Now, you're probably asking out there, why is Representative Jeff McNeely talking about this industry? Well, I started, I think, in 21. A good friend of mine, Wayne Sasser, who's a pharmacist, Wayne started this bill basically to try to bring regulations to this industry in the state of North Carolina. Right now, unless self-imposed, we have no real regulations at all on this industry, which makes it the wild, wild west. And the industry in itself, especially what I consider the good actors, the CBHP, they want regulations. They've actually imposed some regulations on themselves. I know 21 has kind of been we'll call it a group thing where they're not selling to anybody under the age of 21. Now, are there stores out there that are? Yes. These people are not. So they went ahead and stepped out of beyond the industry and doing what they think's right. And they won't, they won't labeling, they won't packaging, they won't sampling. And so all these things I put in bills, and the problem is they've left the House almost every time unanimously. I may get one Democrat mad at me over there, might not, but pretty much unanimously gone to the Senate. And the same things happen to my bills that happened to House Bill 328. It gets to the Senate and it has a whole lot of stuff added to it. And what's really been added to it is medical marijuana. Mm-hmm. And I don't really, I was totally against medical marijuana. I'm now to the point, if we have the right regulatory framework, I've seen enough people come through with PTSD, with cancer issues, glaucoma. I'm trying to think of all the different things. What's the one where you actually have convulsions?
Seizures.
Seizures.
That's it. Epilepsy. Epilepsy. And it's made a huge difference. So I'm to the point where I've always truly believed that our dear Lord has put everything on this planet for a reason. I struggle to understand poison ivy and oak and mosquitoes because those are my nemesis. But I do believe that there's good and bad.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things out there that we have in our nature that is put on this world. And so we hope we use them for good, not bad. And so this is becoming a medicinal product, and it's got a genre, an area where people use this and see where they get help. And so the medical marijuana, though, is not going to come out of the North Carolina House. It's come there many times. And so what's happened, because medical marijuana was tied into the hemp CBD stuff, the bill died.
Yeah.
And so nothing happened, no regulations.
Yes.
None. And so it's kind of a do or die thing, and it's been a die. And so this has been real difficult. And I've ran the bill now. I think I'm on my third go, trying to put good forth legislation. Kind of funny. The original bill, I think, was 6 pages. And we've also added kratom in there, which has some good and bad products to it. And there's all these synthetics out there that I do not like at all. So there's where we banned them in it, and it's grown different things. I think one of them's a horse tranquilizer that's big that we've banned, xylylene or something. I can't remember the exact chemical name for it. But so the bill's grown, and now it's about 43 or 44 pages from the original 6. But everything in there has come about in the framework of figuring it out.
Yes.
If we would have passed it first, these would be amendments made later that we've learned about. So tell us a little bit about what y'all are seeing as an industry and the fear of basically just being put out of business.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fear. Like you said, there's a lot of jobs, and those people have kids to put through school, college, all types of things. And,
house payments, car payments, everything.
Yeah, everything, and their livelihood depends on this. And, waking up every Monday and what am I going to do in 2 or 3 months if this actually happens? It's definitely very stressful. The climate of business has changed a little bit. Some people aren't as much inventory. There's just a lot of changes going on. So it's definitely put some restraints on the whole industry as a whole. And it's definitely, it's not growing like it should.
Well, like I said, there's no way it's going to be able to do anything if something doesn't change. And we're looking to see come November the 12th, that's kind of a looming deadline that the federal government has put out that will bring that 0.4 milligram in. So there's a reason why it says 0.4 milligram. I think we have Eric Stahl on the line. Eric's from out of the Raleigh. Eric, are you there?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Representative McNeely, for having me on.
You're very welcome. Got Leo on here. Don't know if you know Leo and Lee Van Tine or not with Apotheca. Your stores.
We have worked together downtown a couple of times. I know we've been working on a lot of the same issues for a number of years, so I know that we've bumped into each other a number of times down there fighting the good fight.
Yep. And well, Eric, tell us a little bit about you and your story of why you got into this business, as we'll say.
Sure, yeah. So, my wife and I founded our store, Modern Apotheca, back in about November of 2018. My wife has Crohn's, colitis, as well as polycystic kidney disease. So she's had a number of chronic illnesses that have really been an issue for her. Even before we got married, her Crohn's diagnosis goes back to her being when she was 17. She's 47 today. So part of our battle has been really finding the right solutions to her number of different pain management and inflammatory issues. And for us, while we were living in Colorado, I was working out in Colorado in my old career in sports marketing, and she was having a pretty bad Crohn's flare-up, and we visited a number of really high-quality medical cannabis dispensaries in Colorado, and she instantly started seeing so much improvement. And we actually went from somewhere in the range of 22 pharmaceuticals down to none. And today she is pharmaceutical free and literally surviving on a regimen of full spectrum CBD and THC for pain management. So we opened our store in 2018 at the tail end of her battle. We started seeing this progress, and we really became our passion to share that with our community in North Raleigh and beyond. And so we've been doing that now for almost over 7 years. It's gone very, very quickly. And so we found ourselves in the situation of advocating against and for these different bills simply because, there wasn't legislation on the books that were going to continue to allow us to sell these products to the public. And I think that's where probably the Van Tines and I bumped into each other back in the day, was fighting for Senate Bill 455, in which we, as North Carolina General Assembly, voted, and now a state law, that hemp-derived CBD and THC are legal in the state of North Carolina, right? And so our big battle now is to ensure that we continue that momentum and we don't go backwards, but we actually license and create tax revenue from the state entities that are selling these products responsibly to the public.
Right. And like I said, my involvement in this is I've never wanted recreational, and I'm not a huge fan of medical, but I understand it's a possibility to be off of something else that's a lot worse. So if in the right regulatory framework, I could live with medical. I can. I'm not going to cheer for it, but I'm not going to cheer against it. And so, but there's many in my caucus in the Republican side of the House that does not want medical, definitely doesn't want recreational. And then now with this Senate Bill 328, it looks like there's some that don't want this industry at all. And so, and we have some people there, a couple of people military-wise that have seen it help people with PTSD issues. Also, got some in the pharmaceutical area that understand this. And if it goes away, there's going to be a void, and people are going to find something. They're either going to go black market, they're going to be out on the street trying to buy a pot. Yep. Basically what you're going to be trying to do, and we don't know what all's in it, have no idea. And, back in the day, it used to be angel dust, PCP, could be whatever. Now, fentanyl, who knows? I don't know what all they can do. So now we got people we're putting more in jeopardy, even though we don't have the regulations. And or they're going to be going to doctors and looking at pain management through opioids and all that. And next thing you know, they're hooked on that. And we just went through 18,000 lawsuits and all kind of different things. At one time, I think here in Statesville, they had it figured out that if there was enough opioid products prescribed, that each man, woman, and child in the city limits of Statesville would average about 10 a day. It was an outrageous amount. Amount.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So just crazy numbers. So, so 328 got changed over in the Senate, passed the Senate, come back to the House, and this was all right about the same time we were trying to kick the budget out the door and everything else. And so we paused. We just paused and sat on it because in that bill, I'm going to read this one part, and I tried to explain to my caucus that if they want medical marijuana, then okay. But just know this bill will kill the hemp CBD, but there is a section in it that says, notwithstanding the provisions of this section. And if you look up the word notwithstanding, I know that sounds a little different. But well, in contractual law, it's used to mean this specific rule wins over any other conflicting rule. So no matter what, is how you should say it, no matter what the provision of this section, any prescription drug approved by the Federal Food and Drug Administration under Section 505 of the Federal Food, Drug, Cosmetic Act that is designed, rescheduled, or deleted as a controlled substance under federal law by the United States Drug Enforcement Administration shall be excluded from Schedule 6 and may be prescribed, distributed, dispensed, and used in accordance with federal law upon the issuance of a notice, final rule, or final rule of the United States Drug Enforcement Administration that designates, reschedules, or deletes such prescription drugs as a controlled substance under the federal law. Now, did everybody get that? Wasn't that completely just clear? And that's the way the bills are written that come to people. And you know, I'm not a lawyer. I stay in a Holiday Inn Express every once in a while, but I do understand some of the jargon. And my question is, why is the word prescribed in this bill that kills everything else if you're not looking for medical marijuana that would become a prescription drug?
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like a pretty big carve out for a very specific, large conglomerate of businesses. And I think the Van Tines and I would definitely both agree that, you know, we're very pro North Carolina, right? I'm a North Carolina resident. I love it here. I've been living in Roseville for the last decade, and we couldn't be happier. And we would love nothing more than a future where North Carolina continues to support small business in place of sometimes giant corporations who we know can come in and just dominate an industry. You know, I think we've all seen the Whitney economic study that shows, you know, this hemp industry is a $4 billion industry in the state of North Carolina. It generates over $1.8 billion in retail sales alone. And I believe we're at 16,000 plus jobs that the state provides. So this is not just a small little industry that should just be pushed to the wayside. We should really look to see how North Carolina can continue to create small business opportunities for individuals, right?
Well, you know, here's the kicker. Right now, it's pushing towards $70-80 million just in sales tax alone.
Yeah, that's a huge.
Yep.
And what we've talked about in my bills, and I'm trying to combine all mine together. I've split it up in pieces to try to get it through the Senate so it wouldn't have medical in it and we could get something done. And every time it gets jumbled up, mumbled up. So, you know, we want to put an excise tax because that's what's happening in a lot of the states around us on this, the same as alcohol and tobacco. And if we did that, then we're looking at probably somewhere closer to about $400 million in tax revenue. And the industry's not opposed to this. Just give us regulations to go along with it. Don't just tax us and leave us. Yeah. We want regulations. And what we think, because in my bills that have always had a licensure program, so you're going to have to apply for a license, and with that license they will become a yearly inspection. So a lot of these companies that are shipping here are Chinese. A lot of it's coming from India. A lot of it's coming from God knows where. We really don't know. And so they're not going to, you know, and it has a manufacturing, distribution, and a retail licensure program. Starts high, goes down to fairly low, but it puts everybody on record, and we kind of know where they're at. We kind of know how to find them, and I think the licensure program will cut out a lot of the riffraff. I do not believe that a Chinese company is going to pick up a manufacturing license from the state of North Carolina, and if they don't, their products will not be allowed to be sold in the state of North Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. This is nothing new. You know, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, they've had this for 4 or 5 years in place, and it's been working great for them. They've been bringing in revenue to help the state. And North Carolina's just fallen behind on it.
Well, we have, and we don't have any, like I said, with no regulations at all. It's just a wild, wild west right now. What's legal, what's not legal, what's in the packages. We don't know what's in the packages. We did testing. Our office has done testing. We've had another group come beside us wanting to do testing, and we found all kind of stuff.
Yeah,
all over.
Yeah.
The thing. And one other thing that we haven't even talked about that this will help regulate, because not regulated now, is the THC drinks.
Yes.
That have come out on the market.
Yeah.
Something really, I think, in the last 2, maybe 3 years tops.
Yeah, and it really, the past year, took over. I mean, everyone's trying to be healthier, GLPs, less alcohol, more healthy food.
10 calories in some of it.
I mean, so some are even 0.
Yeah, who ain't looking for that?
Yeah, no hangover. So, I mean, it's a great alternative if you're trying to be healthier. So it's not just, it's a health thing, you know. These products help people. Our average consumer is usually over 40. They have pain or they have trouble sleeping at night, and you know they use these products. It's not like it's high schoolers or anything like that. Most of our consumers are of the older generations.
Well, we're trying not to let the high schoolers get it, but right now a 10-year-old can walk in.
Yeah,
you know, if you got tobacco in the store.
And I think that's the other piece of.
Go ahead, Eric.
And that's what scares us about 328 is that, you know, consumer need for individuals with PTSD or Crohn's or trying to avoid opiates or alcohol, you know, those consumers their need's not going to go away. So they're going to turn back to the more dangerous substance, or they're going to instead turn to that unregulated online out-of-state illicit market, right? Which the state of North Carolina it's outside of their jurisdiction, right? So we want to make sure that these products are, in my perfect world, is grown in North Carolina, manufactured by North Carolina manufacturers, and sold responsibly to North Carolinians 21 plus by North Carolina-based retailers. That sounds really good for our state.
I think so too. And you know, we had already set up a schedule in my last bill of how we really wanted to spend the excise tax, and basically it was going to be, you know, got 1% for carrying on the program. That'll be the Department of Revenue who does that with ALE and some of the other ones. But we had 1% going in there for sheriff's departments because they're the boots on the ground. They're the ones that's going to probably be there before the ALE shows up. Yes. And so to help them, and you know, you're sitting there going 1%. Well, we're talking $4 million. Yeah. Spread across the state, and that'll help them buy. You know, there's an analytic tool out there that can tell you whether it's actually marijuana or whether it is hemp. Doing a near chromatology infrared, so it helped with that. Also, we
hire more drug recognition officers. I know they want more DRO officers, which are extremely expensive to get in your county. You know, you should allot money for that so that we can tell the difference. These officers are trained to tell the difference between drunk driving, high driving, and prescription drug driving, right? Which are all issues that we need to make sure that we're paying attention to.
So, I mean, so we had that in there. We also had in 3% for veteran, you know, retrain, rehab, housing, just try and put it in. So, you know, that would be an annual come in that thing of probably $12 million go to help our veterans. And we got Purple Heart Homes here, talked with John Galene on this. We've talked a lot, you know, how this would really help tremendously across the state, having a steady income coming to them to help work with our veterans. We want to take care of our veterans, and the trauma and the PTSD, it's real, folks. It's real. So also had money in there. 4% of it was going to go each year annually to almost like a Hope Scholarship thing set up for community college, where if you had a B average or better, we'd try to divvy out all over the whole state, but basically help pay for community college. So a lot of things in this. Had some money in there for HBCU capital. Seems like a lot of the historic black college universities, their buildings are not where they want to be, and they're private, so this was going to help with some of the capital. That's a big need they said they had. So just covering a lot of bases, sheriffs, veterans, I mean, this all over. And then the rest, we had it divvied out. About 45% was going to go to new road projects because we're so out of line with what we need as far as at DOT. And then the other 45 to the general fund to be used wherever needed. So, you know, out of that 400 million coming in, a lot of good things could happen.
And unfortunately, it's all going to go to the black market and go to things that aren't beneficial for the state.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to spend more money.
Definitely.
Because we're going to be out here trying to track them down. Yeah. And our sheriffs are going to be arrested. Yeah. We're going to have more people incarcerated. So the question is, do we take an industry that's been going on since 2018, so we're up to 8 years now, and across the whole nation is what will happen. You're looking at probably somewhere around, I'm going to guess, about a $30-40 billion industry, maybe more like 50 to 100.
I was going to say it's upwards of 50 and more. Yeah,
$1 billion that will basically go away come November the 12th, and I've told my people in the House, I said, let's let the federal government decide what's going to happen here, and we'll follow along them. But this bill actually says no matter what the federal government does end up doing, it's staying at 0.4 milligrams. So North Carolina's done irregardless with this bill, no matter what the feds choose to do.
And the feds have had talks of changing things. They are having talks of things. President Donald Trump has come out and asked Congress to change the law that's going to take effect in November. So it's not like nothing's happening at the federal level. There's a lot of stuff happening at the federal level, and there will be changes at the federal level. So to do this right now just makes no sense when we don't know what's going to come down.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The federal government could change their mind, and then we're sitting there, but we've already voted no. And so I think we let this play out, and if the federal government decides this is how we're going to do it, Senate and the House, well, we have to adhere to that. And so why are we trying to do something that possibly will be forced to be undone or not necessary to begin with? And so I don't know. So we're going to see what happens. We go back in on the 4th and the 5th. I hear the side that wants it, and I get it. I want an age. I want an age limit on this stuff. I want it checked. I want everything, but not at the where we're going to kill it. And then there's that hole, and we create a bigger problem. And so that's where we're at. We really are. Hey, we're getting close.
And November is coming up, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
With November coming up, too, I think it's one of those things that the federal government's already given us a November deadline. I know a number of representatives, you have to run for re-election. Why would we want a whole new group to show up downtown and say, we were going to vote for you, but now we're not? Don't give us a reason not to vote for you. We want to vote for the representatives that have the North Carolinians' best interest in mind. And I know that's where a lot of folks are like, why are we doing this now? Why don't we just let the federal government say what they're going to say and then, let North Carolina figure it out from there?
Well, that's where I'm at. We'll pivot from there. So, Eric, I'm going to let Leo have the last word here in the studio. Anything you'd like to leave us with? Eric, did I lose him?
Hey. I'm still here. Okay. You want to give me? I thought you were going to give Leo the final word.
Well, I was going to let you take a minute, and then I'll give Leo. So, anything you'd like to say?
I'll thank you for your representation for us. I appreciate your willingness to hear folks like us, and I appreciate all the good work. I know there's a lot of folks that are working on this, and nobody wants nothing to be done. We all want responsible legislation, and we want adult responsible access.
Yep. Hey, Eric, I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon. Leo.
Thank you, sir.
Take us home.
I mean, like you said, we've been fighting for this. We self-regulate. We want regulations in place. We're one of the only industries that come out and beg for regulations, beg for taxes. And unfortunately, if they take this away, the black market's going to thrive. Grandma might get pulled over leaving Cherokee to go get her nighttime gummies. Do we really want our grandma getting locked up for nighttime gummies out of Cherokee? I mean, so I urge everyone to call their House representative and, express this issue to them and let them know how detrimental this will be to the state.
Well, like I said, I just feel like it's been, if they were going to stop this, they should have stopped it in 2018, not created it in 2018 and let it go 8 years.
Where they say you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, I believe.
I believe that's kind of what we're talking about here. So, Leo, I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me this morning and talking about this. We got a lot of things to talk about, but this is very important I think, to the state of North Carolina and to a lot of people out there who found holistic use here. All right, so folks, stay with us. Come back for the second half of the show.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt U.S. Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
All right, son. Time to put out this campfire.
Dad, we learned about this in school.
Oh, did you now? Okay. What's first?
Smokey Bear said to.
First, drown it with a bucket of water, then stir it with a shovel.
Wow, you sound just like him.
Then he said,
if it's still warm, then do it again.
Where can I learn all this?
It's all on SmokeyBear.com with other wildfire prevention tips. Because only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
All right, folks, back here with the second half of the show. If anybody would like to call in, 704-873-9929. Love to hear from you. I've got a whole lot of stuff going on, always. But one thing I would like to take a moment for those listeners here in Iredell County and especially in West Iredell. We've had a kind of a tough weekend. Had two different people we lost that passed. Susan Pugh, Craig Pugh's wife, and a lot of y'all might know Craig from Farm Credit. That's what I'll always call them. I know they got a different name now, but many of the years they're working and managing the branch and loan officer, and his wife, a great woman, good Christian woman, our piano organist for 20-some years at our church. Cancer finally took her from us, but I know she is in the presence of the Lord now. And also Laura Nash Jordan, Laura, Bud and Emily's daughter. A lot of us went to West Iredell with her. She's not that much older than me. She's young. She passed away suddenly, and so we grieve for the Pugh family and the Nash and Jordan family with the passing of these two great ladies. And Godspeed. And so sorry. All right, so here we go again. All right, the USDA is going to resume import cattle from Mexico. It's been about a year since the cattle have not been allowed to cross our southern border, and the reason why is the New World screw worm fly, and we've talked about this a lot on this show. Y'all, this is a very critical thing. Think of it as a form of Mercer for cattle, because these flies, parasites, whatever you want to call them, basically bore into the hide of an animal and lay their eggs, and from there those eggs eat their way out, and basically they're flesh eating. And it will be an infection, and the animal will be put down. And we are already have a really tight inventory, and yes, beef is high. It's worth it, but it's high right now. And so trying to help with the price, a lot of the packers and whatnot are really pushed for this. And so they're going to go ahead and let cattle come across our southern border. They got 3 different stations. I pray they're going to do a great job of watching what they got. That there are already cases in Texas, and I think one in New Mexico of this New World screwworm fly. I guess my question is, do you bring them over live or do you bring them over partially processed? And to me, it looks like we would be ahead of the game to set up a partially processed industry right there, not too far from the border, and process the cows on the Mexican side and ship the we like to call it box beef. They cut it in 5 pieces, and it fits in a certain way, and it travels in a refrigerated container, and it just fits perfect. Do we do that, or do we bring the cattle in, try to grow them, fatten them ourselves over here, and then do it, which has always been the process? And so that's where I'm a little worried. I talked about this. I'm actually planning on talking with the department and the state veterinarian. I've been talking with him. Right now, cows can the fine is $5,000 for a whole load, or one cow, or 50 cows, 40 cows on a pot belly, as we call it. That's a livestock hauler, and that's only about 2 cows right now. $5,000. And the reason I bring this up is they should be quarantined, vet checked before the live cattle leave the state of Texas, in my opinion, and come. And that's supposedly the rule, but you can run around the rule. And so I'm wanting to set up the penalty to make it a lot harsher till we get this new world screwworm fly under control, because we do not need that here in North Carolina.
Is that the fly that they've been trying to breed?
Yes.
The opposite one?
They're trying to breed male sterls too,
yeah.
but we're behind.
Yeah.
We're not going to really have that kind of inventory of male sterile flies in place for maybe another year to really eradicate and kind of be effective. Now, wintertime helps us some here in North Carolina. But, folks, I can tell you what, I've been in a chicken house and I've been in a dairy freestall facility, and I don't know, the coldest day in January I've looked up, ain't been flying, but I've seen flies crawl around on the rafters, or wherever the warm spot is. So don't think you kill them all. If you did, there wouldn't be none come back the next year.
Well, and either way, it's going to be coming from somewhere that is still warm.
Exactly. So that's the problem. And so we do not need this problem in North Carolina. So I'm very concerned. And especially with this border being opened here in the next couple of weeks. I got one station right now. They're planning on setting up 2 other stations. This one's in Texas. 2 other will be in New Mexico, right on the border. So I know everybody's going to try to do the best job they can, but those cows are going to move north to the feedlots. They're not going to be able to be fed efficiently at those places. That's not where all the grain's at, not where all the food necessarily needed to feed cows is. So real worried about this, that they're opening back up the border. We'll see. I do believe right now is the perfect time for COOL, which is an acronym for Country of Origin Labeling. And I actually want to take it to a state level. And I've said all along, we should be able to actually do this on a state label. And I want to see, I got this lapel pin right here. I don't know how many you can see me on the air, but it's the cross of an American flag and a North Carolina flag. And we do have the Got to Be NC, the green and yellow sticker and all that. But I would just like to be able to put this little symbol on products that are grown, manufactured, processed, and shipped out of the state of North Carolina, whatever it is. And if we need to maybe put a level where at least 70% or some number of it, was here, you can use that. We could work that through. That's semantics. So, but I would like to see that, because I truly think North Carolina has an awesome reputation, not only in the nation, but in the world, of producing some of the best agricultural products, and even textiles and furniture and all these different things that we still do. Maybe not at the scale we did at one time, but we still do. And so when that housewife or whatever is up there shopping in New Jersey and goes into the supermarket, into the meat case, and there's a package of pork chops, she looks at it and she sees that symbol of the American flag and the North Carolina flag, and she knows, hey, that's good stuff. That's North Carolina pork. I feel pretty confident they do a good job there. That's what I want, and I'm willing to pay just a little bit more to get it, because I got some confidence that my family's going to be safe. We've talked about the explosive diarrhea issues with the products going on, not saying anything, but there was another example come from out of the country. It would be nice to know. I ain't saying that you wouldn't buy that product. I'd just like to know. I want to know. I don't know how the rest of y'all feel about where your stuff comes from, but I like to know. And especially if I'm putting it in my body. It's one thing to wear a jacket that was probably made in Sri Lanka, but it's another thing to eat this jacket and not know where it's from. So even though it does look kind of vegetable-y,
something going on your body versus inside your body.
Exactly. Big difference. The rash will pass in a while. The other may not. The other may pass. It's not the way you don't want to. That's right. So So anyway, kind of interesting what's happening, and maybe we're going to see the beef prices lower some. I'm sure the ranchers, farmers out there, and I got cows too. I will tell you, we've probably gotten a little too high, because if you're not careful, you'll price yourself out of a market. There's other competition. You got your poultry, you got a lot of different things going on. You got fish products, you got pork. So there's other forms of protein. You want to make as much as you can in farming, which is a rare day, but you got to be careful not to take and give your competition ammunition. So beware. But they are talking about doing this. Now the question is how we go about it, and are we going to be good enough, and how do I figure out how to protect the great state of North Carolina and its agricultural resources from having an issue. So a lot of things happening behind the scenes. More ag news. Kind of on it this morning. So the DOJ and 17 other states have been in a lawsuit with 3 major egg companies going back to the 22-25 egg gate. So don't know if y'all remember this, but remember when eggs got to about $6 a dozen, maybe a little more than that. Well, there happened to be some price fixing going on at that time. Now, HPAI, which is high pathogen avian influenza, has been devastating to the poultry industry, and I'm talking like hundreds of millions of birds put down. In the Biden administration Agriculture Department, there was no vaccinating. Kill it. We'll pay you X, kill it. And we paid them to kill and kill and kill, and killed an ungodly amount of poultry. But during all that time, it appears that the 3 of the largest egg companies, Cal-Maine Foods, which might ring a bell because they have houses in this area and actually have a feed mill that manufactures their feed. Also, Versova and Hickman Egg Ranch were the 3 big ones. And so it's kind of funny. In this, their settlement was about $3.3 million for these 3 companies, and 53 million eggs. So they bartered out money and eggs as payment for the price fixing. And the eggs will be divided amongst the 17 different states, and they'll go to food banks and other things, I guess, wherever eggs are needed necessarily. Try to get it back out to people that need help, which is great. I've never really heard the DOJ barter out and trade for eggs or other products. So maybe this starts a new trend here. Next thing you know, when the gas people, we realize they've been price fixed, and I guess we can all go get an extra gallon of gas somewhere.
Hey, I'm good with that.
I know. So we'll see how they end up cutting it down. I will tell you this. Cal-Maine, which is one of the largest, their profits in 2025 was $1.22 billion, and they were ordered to pay, I think, about $1.5 million of the 3.3, and I think they had to come up with about 25 or 30 million of the 50-some million eggs. So they were one of the larger ones in this. But, $1.2 billion versus paying $1.5 million, yeah.
Yeah,
you can throw some eggs. You can do that. You can throw some eggs around if you want to. You can. Hey, if anybody would like to call in, talk about any of this, 704-873-9929. Love to hear from you. Give us a shout. Gotta get back on the line here. Yep, there we go. All right, so the North Carolina Department of Commerce has set up block grants from new budget deals, working with the North Carolina budget, mainly with the federal, to help Western North Carolina. So there's about $55 million available, and you must apply by September the 8th. It's basically part of about $193.5 million coming state fed money, working together so local governments can apply. Most of these projects will be $500 to maybe up to $15 million a piece. And basically it's trying to revitalize, but also make them more resilient to flooding or any of these other issues. So you'll have to have that aspect. Real important that everybody, I feel like that most local governments understand and know this. Some of the smaller ones may not. So if you're in radio land out there, Western North Carolina, where the disaster hit and you fell under that declaration, you must see somebody out at the grocery store or at the restaurant. You might want to say, hey, don't forget, we got block grant money we could be getting our hands on. So a lot of your smaller communities maybe don't realize this. And maybe there's something they can do to help some way or another in these areas. I know there's tons of stuff to still be done, and I wouldn't say necessarily spend this on bridges to get across creeks, but if you need that, and it's really important, and there's a lot of people that are desperate still to try to get back and forth, that can be a project. So there's a lot of different things can fall underneath this. So be interesting. This is all part of Renew NC, which is an acronym basically for the Western North Carolina Governor's Agency to rebuild Western North Carolina. And NCORE was for Eastern North Carolina, and it failed miserably under Roy Cooper, who I think is running for some other office right now. Yeah. Remember that. And basically, they couldn't account for more than about $500 million under Cooper and NCORE. And on top of that, they overpaid for housing horribly for most of the coastal communities down there. We were buying modular homes, and people that had land, we were averaging over $400,000 per modular home we put back these people in. Not knocking a modular home, I think $400,000 is pretty excessive, and that was about 5 to 6 years ago. So not a good deal on what we do know, and $500 million, we can't even figure out where it did go. So did not get to the people that needed it, though, I can tell you that. So hopefully NC Grow or Renew NC under Josh Stein is going to be better. We will see. The jury's still out because there's a lot to be done yet in Western North Carolina. And NCORE down in the eastern part, it was there for probably close to 7 years or more before we finally just shut it down because it was just doing such a bad job. So ain't nobody called in. Not yet. That's cool. All right, so let's move along here a little quick. So Maine has a new Democrat Senate candidate. After they got Graham Plattner to fall out for having Nazi tattoos and sexual abuse allegations, they decided to open the field back up, and my goodness, wasn't that a show? That was very interesting. But they ended up with Troy Jackson, a former state senator, and he's a logger. But he's not your typical logger, in my opinion. I know a lot of guys that cut timber, and I think Troy's a little bit farther left than most of those hard-working chainsaw cutting guys out there doing their job. And so he was picked out of a group of about 5 or 6. And they already had a poll. Soon as the man was picked, they had a poll from the University of New Hampshire, which I hold in high esteem. Oh, yeah. All right. Already had him leading by a small margin over Susan Collins. So I think, if Dumbo the Clown had been picked, the University of New Hampshire would have probably had him leading too, because I think that was kind of already cooked. So no matter what happened, but maybe that's because Massachusetts looked like they're leaning a little farther left than normal. But so this was pretty interesting. Troy's Bernie Sanders puppet. Bernie backed him. He actually ran for the governor and finished 3rd in the state in being the governor, but now he's the Senate candidate, so I guess we'll see how that works out for him. Was a Republican when first elected to the Maine House, and then later became a senator, but switched over time to adjust to Maine's dark blue attitude. And this should be interesting if he was a big fan of Bernie Sanders and spoke. So I guess my question is, socialist? Maybe. We'll see what comes out. The funny thing is they really haven't changed the tune. Everything that Graham Plattner was saying, Troy's saying also, he just ain't giving Graham no credit for it. So that's how that works. So, anyway.
Makes you wonder if he's part of the DSA.
Well, like I said, I think they're going to play up him being a logger and coming from a logging company and owning it. But there's only so far you can run with that, knowing that Bernie Sanders is the one that's endorsing him and backing him. And I think it's kind of comical that somebody that cuts trees down for a living is now a very liberal, left-leaning U.S. Senate candidate. And how does that play to the people that don't want the environment touched? And I'm sure in Maine, there's a lot of them. So he's going to end up, it's going to make it interesting. I don't know how he's going to cut down a tree and make people happy. So this is kind of different.
Somehow they'll find some way to be okay with it.
Well, I'm sure. And I debated on whether oysters, if vegetarians could eat them or not. So I wondered how many of the vegetarians, like Graham Plattner, is oysters considered meat, or I don't know.
Are vegetarians the ones that can eat fish?
Well,
or is it vegan?
Possibly. Now, vegans can't. Okay. Vegetarians, I think, can. Vegans can't. But then yet we're back to, did they feel any pain? And I'm going to tell you what. I would think shucking an oyster open would be very painful for it. Because I know if I slip and stab that knife into my hand, and I've done that hurts. And so I can only imagine getting woke up from being in your sealed type bedroom there of an oyster shell to daylight. Next thing you know, you're being absorbed into something else. I would think this would be terrifying to be an oyster. And so there's that aspect that they're probably worried about, the pain level that the oyster feels when it's yanked from its house, evicted.
That's a possibility.
I may be going a little far there, but I'm sure there's somebody that'll say, "Hey, he's right." So, all right, let's get on with it. Crazy as it gets, part 1. So it looks like LA does have a group that the population is increasing. All other demographics are decreasing in LA. People are mass exiting except for one group. The homeless. They're rising, and they're rising pretty steady. Right now, you're looking at, tens of thousands of rich people are leaving out there because they're getting ready to get hit with that wealth tax that they're going to propose. Yeah. So they got that. So they're leaving, but the homeless, their population is up 8%. And I think I know why. It says here, that's just in the last 2 years, they've increased 8%. Mayor Karen Bass has the city spending, and these are her plans, the city spending on average about $82,000 a piece on each homeless person in Los Angeles. And if you want more of something, you subsidize it. And that's what's happening there. So they're up, like I said. And the bad thing is, there was a third-party audit found the city wasn't even tracking what all it was paying for. They were just send a bill and get a check. Sadly, a Democrat socialist candidate running against her, come out of nowhere, ended up beating a Republican in their jungle primary they do, which made no sense at all to come in second. Actually may be the best candidate there. And that's really sad. But she's at least wanting to do something about trying to curb the homeless population, where Karen Bass is doing everything she can to make it grow by paying them more money to come and be there. So, hey, it's a nice environment, nice weather, $82,000 a year, ain't bad money. All you got to do is wander up and down the streets, and then they'll put you up in hotels at night. Pretty good deal. All right, real quick, getting down to the end here. Just thought, Troy Jackson beat out Ashley Webb for the Senate, Maine, U.S. Senate spot. Don't know how many of y'all have seen Ashley. She kind of made the news. Songwriter and book writer, not an author. There's a difference. I don't know. And previously had many campaigns, but was never elected. looked like to me she was the perfect candidate to replace Graham Plattner. It says here, sort of a rust. I have ran for office several times, didn't win, but I did run, and then I'm a songwriter and I write my own books. What qualification I have? Webb, who is a transgender, so it was a man dressed and looking like a woman. I suppose my transparency. I wouldn't lie to people and I wouldn't deceive them like they're being deceived right now. I wouldn't get to lie and to smoke and mirrors like what's going on with ICE. So, man dressed as a woman wouldn't deceive you. Got to have faith in that.
Got to be transparent.
It got to be transparent. So I'm telling you, folks, I can't make this up. All right, we're down here to the end. Dear Heavenly Father, dear Lord, we just thank you for our many blessings. We pray for Susan Pugh's family and Laura Jordan's family. Lord, comfort them in this sad time. Father, I just ask you to be with them. I pray you watch over all of us. Give us wisdom, Lord, common sense. Give us that. There's so few have and so many need. So just please be with us in all we do. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. Folks, until next week, take care.
Thank you for tuning in to Taking Care of NC. We hope today's program offered valuable insight into the topics shaping North Carolina's future. Stay informed, stay engaged, and join us next time as we continue exploring the issues that matter most to our state. Until then, take care, and thank you for being a part of the conversation.
Real Country is 550 AM WAME, 92.9 W225BD, Statesville.
WAME and Bunce Johnson Funeral Home are proud to present our national anthem, Bunce Johnson, where every detail matters. Call them at 704-873-7223 or stop by their location at 705 Davie Avenue, Statesville for your personalized experience.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting gave proof through the night that our flag